And we'll check in with the Arizona Cardinals. Boy, thank you, Arizona. Gave us a story to run this entire week. Ian Rappaport had the story, got the information on Kyler Murray's contract. He was looking in there for the baseball clause. And then all of a sudden it's like, what's this? All of a sudden there's an addendum in here that has to do with study habits. Doing your homework at home. And then you had a press conference. Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach, kind of shook it off. And like, hey, no big deal. He's getting, $250 million and everything's good. Well, Kyler Murray went from the high of $230 million contract to, hey, everybody's questioning me. This is a bummer. But the Cardinals officially removed the clause yesterday. And here was the statement by the Arizona Cardinals. After seeing the distraction it created, we removed the addendum from the contract. It was clearly perceived in a way that we never intended. Our confidence in Kyler Murray is as high as it's ever been, and nothing demonstrates our belief in his ability to lead this team more than the commitment reflected in this contract. Well, that's nice, but why'd you put it in the contract to begin with? That's why we reacted to this. Is there an issue? That's what I want to know. Kyler Murray's upset. I don't know who he's upset at because I'd start with my agent and the Cardinals. Did you even know it was in there? I've had contracts where somebody says, hey, make sure you read everything. And you're like, oh, okay, all right. If there's an addendum in there, that's when I go, wait a minute, what's the addendum? The other stuff feels like it's normal contract, legalese. And then you have an addendum. The addendum. Yes, Heaton.
And not only is it an addendum, it's an addendum that no matter what analyst, insider, whatever NFL reporter has been asked, have you ever seen anything like this? They're like, no, not in the 30 years I've been doing this. I've never seen something like this.
Here's Kyler Murray yesterday. Now, he had a press conference that wasn't scheduled, but he came in for about 5 minutes. No questions were able to be asked with Kyler Murray, and he wanted to talk about his work ethic.
I'm sorry.
No, we have actual sound.
I'm sorry.
We have actual sound.
I refuse to let my work ethic, my preparation be in question. I've put an incomprehensible amount of time and blood, sweat, tears, and work into what I do, whether it's football or baseball. People can't even comprehend the amount of time that it takes to do two sports at a high level in college, let alone do it, be the first person to do it ever at my size.
Okay, you're saying you refused to, but you did refuse because they put it in the contract. Like you didn't refuse it. You signed it. And the media's not questioning you. Your team is questioning you. We don't know. Yes, Eden.
No one actually, the whole point of this is not questioning the blood, sweat, and tears. It's the reading part. You can't imagine the amount of reading I've done and just going over playbook or watching film. No one said anything about, he just doesn't give any effort on the field or in practice. He's just not trying hard. It's never been a blood, sweat, and tears thing.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever had blood, sweat, and tears watching game film.
I'm just studying so hard with this.
My God, he's bleeding.
I'm studying so hard, I'm bleeding.
911. Kyler's bleeding from watching too much film. He may have, be bleeding from playing video games with his thumbs. He talked about how hard...
Nobody knows these calluses on my thumbs.
Here he talks about, the game's too difficult to not put the work in.
I'm honestly flattered that y'all think that at my size I can go out there and not prepare for the game and not take it serious. It's disrespectful, I feel like, to my peers, to all the great athletes and great players that are in this league. This game's too hard. To play the position that I play in this league, it's too hard.
Okay, once again, why are you directing this to the media when saying you all? Why didn't you say, hey, let's bring down Steve Keim, the GM, and let's bring in Cliff Kingsbury? Let's bring in the ownership as well. They're the ones that put it in. Kyler, that's when you don't have a press conference. Unless you go, hey, this is internal, and maybe I didn't understand fully what it was, but I want to talk to everybody to make sure if there's an issue with my study habits, I want to make sure that that's not an issue at all with anybody as we move forward, because you can guarantee two things are going to happen. He's either going to be all in on studying, or he's going to go, I'm going to continue to do what I do. I'm going to have fun. I fooled him again. But it was put in there for a reason. Did you know it was in there? Now, the fact that you can't ask questions, because this was a field day. This is one of those where you go, okay, here we go. Do I get to ask? I don't get to. Oh, he just left. First of all, I'd say, when did you find out that this was in the contract? Did you ask why it was in the contract? What were you told by either management or your agent? What'd your head coach say? That's all. Let me just kind of figure this out. But his anger is misdirected. We're not questioning you. You came out in a New York Times article and talked about your cognitive skills. So that's not just you're an athlete, that's your thinking. Those are your words, nobody else's. It's not like the New York Times goes, and Kyler talked about his cognitive skills. No, he used the word. So he is talking about being cerebral, not just a God-given ability, which he certainly has. And then he talked about the fact that you can't be this successful without studying.
To think that I can accomplish everything that I've accomplished in my career and not be a student of the game and not have that passion and not take this serious is almost, it's disrespectful, and it's almost a joke.
Okay, but who's the joke on? And you can be successful without studying. Look at Seton and Paulie.
Thank you, Dan.
Yes.
Wow.
I think that's a compliment.
Well, and me too.
Yeah.
What, Todd?
So why didn't Kyler and or his agent in the first place, when they first saw that, they didn't sneak it in after he signed it, say, like, is this some kind of joke? You're really putting these words in my contract?
Yeah. And then he said, of course, he watches film.
There's multiple different ways to watch film. There's many different ways to process the game. There's many different ways quarterbacks learn the game and break the game down. Of course, I watch film by myself. That's a given. That doesn't even need to be said.
It's not a given.
It's not a given.
The team put it in there. If anything, it's the opposite. The team put it in there for a reason. The media didn't create this. You did, the team did, your agent did. We didn't know anything about it until Ian Rappaport stumbled upon this because he was looking at the baseball clause. What is the language in there about playing baseball? And then he sees an addendum that talks about study habit, independent study. I'm going to guess he probably didn't think the contract information, that language, would be leaked. Yes, Eden.
Not only did they talk about independent study, they put an actual hour number on it for a minimum of 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
Why were they so specific then?
Yeah, it wasn't, hey, we need you to put in more time. It's 4 hours, which isn't a lot. Now, I talked to a former NFL coach last night, and I said, all right, give me a sense of how much study goes in with a quarterback. And he had a variety of quarterbacks. And then I said, okay, first half of the season, how much film compared to the second half of the season? Because you're going to face your division opponents again. Now you have to prepare for what happened in the first meeting with them and what you think they're going to do in the second meeting. Well, look at Kyler Murray's performances in the second half of the season. Cliff Kingsbury, the Cardinals. Like, there's a pattern here. Is everybody putting in their time, in their homework, the effort there? And maybe this is systemic. It's not just Kyler Murray. It could be elsewhere in this organization. But this former coach said that he had quarterbacks that studied more in the second half of the season because they had to, because that's when the chess match really starts. We did this first half of the season in our first meeting with you. Now what do we think they're going to do? Now what do we need to do to follow up? This is no different than a baseball hitter who goes or a pitcher goes through the lineup first time around. Do you think he throws the same pitches the next time around? Probably not. But Kyler has, this should have been, I'm disappointed and I'm angry because I'm embarrassed by this. That I should have read that, or I need to talk to management about this. Now, we didn't overreact to this. This is the first time in NFL history, we believe, this language has ever been put in a contract. It's like Zion Williamson has a clause that has to do with, body fat percentage and weight clause. Those have been in contracts before. Okay? We've seen that. Now, that might be embarrassing to Zion that he's going to get weighed, but, they're paying him the max deal, and he signed up for it. Now, he didn't come out and say, I didn't know anything about this. I'm embarrassed. Hey, I'm in great shape. Is somebody going to monitor him when he goes home with what he eats? I don't know. But you put a padlock on the refrigerator? Like after 7 o'clock, the refrigerator locks automatically? Kyler's anger should be at his agent, his representative, himself, and then I'd start asking questions with management there. The team didn't take questions, and he didn't. They issued a statement here. It's not going to go away. The first time he has a bad game, people are going to make the joke about film studying. And if he does play well, he's watching film. Okay, putting in time in the lab. Yeah, Marv.
That first interception.
Yeah.
Oh, should have been watching film.
Yeah.
That linebacker right there, rogue.
Everybody saw it. Do your homework there.